me see. We've got Morgan coming on first. Yes. Yeah. Um, so Morgan is here and she asked, I feel like I'm entering a changing season career calling wise. I've always been interested in birth, and as I anticipate my current employment coming to a close in the next year or two, I'm trying to discern what is next for me. I would like to enter into birth work, probably as a doula or postpartum doula. At the same time, my husband and I have been trying to start a family. We had a miscarriage in January. I'm so sorry about that. I have two questions. First, is becoming a birth worker and a mom on similar timelines wise? We do have childcare support. Second, what does compensation for birth workers look like? Right now, two incomes have been working for us as we both work in nonprofit. Basically, I would like to have an idea for if it's possible for me to replace my current income. I work in missions and fundraise my salary, so it's not a crazy amount. And
Mhm.
if I could still be a present mom while serving other mothers. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well.
Oh,
Solid question.
it's too long to fit in the chat, but
Oh, it
oh, you
fits in
got it.
the,
Okay,
I
good.
got it.
Your
Yeah.
Zoom is better than my Zoom. Um, Morgan, there was another person who asked a very similar question. So this is really representative for not just you. And I will also just
Yes.
say we get messages like this a lot. In fact, I think there was an email you guys got if you're in our email system that a couple days ago about this subject too. So yeah, let's hit it. Let's pull it apart. Do you want to come off your mute, Morgan, and chat with us?
Hey,
Hey, thanks for doing this.
yeah.
Did you want to expand at all or add anything to what Lauren already read out loud?
I felt like I was pretty verbose in the question. But yeah, I think just kind of, um, yeah, just kind of feeling out what the road ahead might look like. And yeah, I feel like it just comes with lots of questions when there's change on the horizon and uh, not familiar with kind of the landscape. Because I think with any uh, kind of career shift, you never really know it till you're in it, especially when you're kind of
Mm,
looking at all that. So, yeah.
Awesome. I love that. I think, as Brooke said, there's a few other questions that came in that were very similar, and it very much reminded me of a scripture that is incredibly close to my heart, and actually another student of ours brought up during our open house recently,
mhm,
to just really highlight that Exodus 121 said, and because the midwives feared God, he established households for them. And our student Hannah was just talking about how that encouraged her so deeply that like God designed, like he said, like I see this work you're doing. He knew, I mean, the Hebrew midwives were busy people. I mean, just look at the population that they were serving. And he saw fit to give them, in the season that they were in, families.
mm,
Mm,
And I think that's such a beautiful word. Like, this is work that God sees and calls while they were in, while they were in the work, he gave them families. And I see it over and over. And yes, there is wisdom to know your season and your
mm,
personal, like, personal call and your personal, like, what your children are calling from you, what your husband is needing of you. Like, your family will always be your first ministry. Um, I know from my family, like, and my marriage specifically, like, it has been a mission for both my husband. I could say group thing. Like, we have a full buy-in of the entire
mm,
family.
mm,
Um, because we feel very called to support life in this way. And so it is a full family mission for us to really support other families when we were on the road. This is kind of my own personal story, but even when we were on the road, my husband was like doing what he could to support their husbands and to
mm,
support those families coming, bringing in new life. And so I guess I say that to say, if God calls you, he's going to equip you even in a motherhood season because it's not removing from his, like, he blessed midwives with families. Like, I just, it is part of his picture. It is part of his design. So, before I just completely rabbit trail on all of that, Brooke, do you want to take that?
I feel like we could honestly talk about this topic for a long time because it's so
Yeah,
multifaceted to me.
for sure.
Um, I think so. Just so you have context for me personally, Morgan, I started being a birth worker when my firstborn was about 9 months old, and it was just birth photography at that time, but that already includes an on-call element, and that's probably the most family disrupting aspect of birth work is the on-call life. Care is honestly one of the hardest parts. The fact that you mentioned in your question that you already have that is actually huge. A lot of people really don't and really have to work to find that. So that's a huge blessing. Um, but I guess the other thing I just really want moms to know when they're thinking about this question is like, there is no permanent decision.
Mm,
You can take some steps down this road in even ways that aren't an on-call birth work, like childbirth education. You can serve women in so many ways besides attending births. And in fact, it's often prudent to start there, so that it's more friendly to your family's needs.
yeah.
And then say maybe you're like, oh, I think I am ready to go on call and start attending births. And you do
Mhm,
that, and you're like, that's actually too much. I'm gonna
mhm,
I'm gonna pull out again. We're gonna back out. In this season, that's too much.
yeah.
You're allowed to do that. That's what's so cool because you are, in most cases, when you're doing birth work, you're self-employed.
Mhm,
Unless you're like working as an assistant for a midwife or something, in which case, even then, you can usually say, I need to take a break. So it's just like it's allowed to ebb and flow. It's allowed to be more intense in some seasons, less intense in others. You can like it can be so flexible if you can give yourself the permission to let it be that way and not feel like you have to say yes to every single person who asks you to attend their birth. Like,
yeah.
and sometimes that's hard. Sometimes it's hard to take time off because you like really love it and you're like, oh, I love that woman. I do want to attend her birth, but I said I was going to be off call this month. Can I stick to that when I really love her? So you do have to have that like resolve, but it's
Mhm,
not a permanent decision. And if you get into it and you hate it, you can change your career again. Like there's in
Yeah.
most of life, there's no permanent decisions.
Yeah.
for sure.
I think another part, because I have 8 children myself,
Mhm,
and another part that I have noticed, I am very, very, very intentional about who I take on. I pray over it. I ask them to pray, like we do consults, and then I'm like, okay, I won't let you hire me today. Like, I hear that you want to. I love you. This seems like a really great fit. I will not serve anybody that the Lord has not called me to. And I go into this whole spiel and I ask them for a week of prayer and fasting if they but like sometimes I really will, like, I take this very seriously. And because of that, I feel like that has not just protected me in a lot of ways, but on this specific topic of like, he knew when she's going to give birth. He knew what season my family was going to be in and what my kids' needs were going to be. And I can't tell you how many times I've been like on call and there was some stuff going on with my family that I was like, "Oh, if I get called to a birth this week, it's going to be so bad. Like, can you please just go
mhm,
next week?" And every time, like God is so faithful because he equips us when he equips the called, and
mhm,
he knows where what how many children he's given me. He knows what's going
Mhm.
on in their lives. He knows that my husband is going to be somewhere during he knows all of those things. And
yeah.
so really committing your birth work to him, not just
Mhm,
it's a business or it's a ministry that but like really I'm doing this because you called me to it. Then you
Mhm.
can trust your babies to him. And you can trust these moms you're called to serve to him and trust that you're going to be where you need to be when you need to be there.
And you can trust your bookings to him. Like Lauren and
Yeah.
I have both had experiences of like sudden like having these lapses and like there's no clients, there's no inquiries, there's no due dates we're on call for. And you're like, why? Like I wasn't trying to make myself unavailable. And then later you see in hindsight, like, oh, God was making that time off because something was going to happen in my personal life that I needed to be
Yep.
present to. So he's just really trustworthy with all the details.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. And I love how both of you kind of shared that it sounds like um because it's like you're calling and you've like laid at the Lord's feet that you get to kind of experience that through your career, maybe in ways that other people
Hmm.
don't when it's more routine.
Yeah.
So
I think that's very accurate.
And
So
you're used
don't,
to that as a like person who has to raise your salary right now for like there's going to be some similarities for you. Like you already know what that's like
Mhm.
to like live from the hand of God, right? And
Yeah.
not have like a really perhaps regular guaranteed paycheck that comes at the exact intervals. Like you just get good at budgeting weirdly and like yeah, you know how to do this. I don't think it would be a hard transition for you, Morgan, if that's kind of already water you're swimming in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to kind of that segues
Mhm.
really well into that second part of her question, what does compensation for birth workers look like? Um, and I think that it really depends on like what role that you're looking into. So I think you said postpartum doula and postpartum doula. So really I think it's about I I say this, but then I'm going to argue with myself. I want to say it can look very different per region, right? And what the kind of going market is. I have literally seen I'm sorry, doulas work for like nothing to like $200-300 a client, and I have seen doulas work for 1,500 2,000 a client. I've seen that in the same communities, and so it's not even about your community as much as also how much are you valuing your services and what are you doing for those services. So it's going to be completely different if you're not doing any prenatals or you're doing one prenatal and you're showing up at you know her birth versus the doula that is like, hey, I really want to create a relationship with you. I'm going to see you 3 to 4 times in your pregnancy. I'm going to teach, do childbirth ed with you. And I'm going to see you like 2 times in postpartum and be there for you. Like what's your package going to look like is going to be
Yeah.
very different. And what type of care and service are you providing? Um, is going to really begin to help you parcel out how much to charge, but it's such a personal decision that
Mhm.
brings in like this is part of your, how much of this is ministry, how much of this is business,
Mhm.
how do you feel about being paid for your ministry? And what does that gonna look like as far as receiving donations or suggested pay what you can situations? Like there's so many different ways that people show up to this work from that vantage point of like how much they're going to charge, etc. So I think you can really make it work, like what are your expenses? What do you need to be able to do this?
Mhm.
Write that down, make your budget and go, okay, if I'm going to do this, I have to replace this income. This has to be done. So that means I'm going to need to take one client, 2 clients. I only want to be able to take on, 2 clients. I don't want to fill my month with 4. So that means that I am a hot commodity and I'm going to charge X amount because this person really wants me, then they're gonna find a way to, you know, receive those services. It's okay to like weigh all that out, but I don't know that any of us can be like, you should charge this much money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it's such a personal thing. It
Highly
matters
variable.
who you're serving, why
Mhm.
you're serving, what type of services you're offering, what region you're in,
Mhm.
all of those things. But put pen to paper
Yeah.
and don't be afraid to like charge what you're worth. Um, and then I always set aside a certain amount. I charge, a price that I feel really good about,
Mhm.
so that I don't get burnt out and I can make sure that it's putting food on the table for my children,
Mhm.
and is worth me being gone for that
Mhm.
time. There's value there. But then I also, because I am unashamed about charging that, I can then serve generally 1 to 2. I can completely gift those services because
Mhm.
I'm not scraping by in survival mode, that I'm
Mhm.
able to go, okay, this person, the Lord is saying, I need to serve and they don't have it and I can freely give there. Um and essentially like tithe kind of off of
Huh.
that in
Mhm.
those ways. So um yeah. But Brooke, do you have anything else to add on that?
On the money front,
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty thorough. Um, yeah, I don't know if I do have a lot to add to that, honestly.
Right.
It did occur
I
to me
mean,
though to say this to you, Morgan. You're in missions right now, and you still would be. And
yes.
you could possibly even, this is probably not something I would say to anybody, but you could, if you felt like you wanted to have a missional approach to your birth work, you could possibly even keep fundraising your salary for that.
It's
Like,
true.
or part of it. So, like, truly, this work is, there's so much creativity, like co-creating with God when you just invite him to be your business manager and brainstorm and like tweak things with him and find your way and find your prices and your sweet spots. And
Yeah.
it can look however you need it to look.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can't guarantee you like that it would replace the income you have right now because A, we don't know what that income is, and B, because like Lauren said, the amount that you can charge depending on what you're offering and where you live and so on and so
Yeah.
forth is so highly variable. But you can just decide to make it match your salary by setting your
Yep.
prices appropriately.
Yep.
Cool. Um, and do you guys find that um when people are getting started, like I guess how long do you feel like it takes to really find your footing? I mean, I know like
Um,
most jobs, people usually make the joke of like, oh, it takes like 6 months to a year to even feel like you know what you're doing.
Hmm.
Do you find that that's like similar in Birthland, or do you feel like it's a lot more than that, or you know what I mean?
Is it weird that I've never thought about that? Like to quantify that, I've never tried to quantify that.
I will often say the more I know, the more I realize I know nothing. In birth work, you're going to show up at births that you thought, I mean, like, yes, show up at birth and be competent. Like no birth, no normal, like, but you are entering a place of mystery. You are entering the gates of life and death. You are entering something that like is beyond, it's his ways. It is his
Mhm.
ways. And they are so far above ours. And so showing up competent is one thing. And I think you can do that with really good preparation, really good, like knowing normal, having mentors, studying the books and such. But it will, I mean, will it prepare you? Yes. Will it prepare you for everything? No. Like,
Will you still be
no.
13 years in and having days when you think, why am I allowed to do this work? I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, you
Yes.
will.
Yes, you will. I'm still as a fully practicing midwife, I find myself at birth going, what in who let me do this? What in the world is happening right now? You know, um,
Let me do this.
who let me do this? Um, and I will like I'm good at this, and yet also what? There's this work will humble you so fast. Um, and I think it's also why we are so intent on not just being a birth, like women who teach birth in ways, whether it to be moms or to, aspiring birth workers or even established birth workers. It's not just doing this with a Christian label on the side of it. It's like, please do this unto the Lord
Hmm.
because it's not, this is everything Brooke and I do is not just, okay, let's put a scripture on it and say we're Christians. Like, no, 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 no. This is a Christian like
Yeah.
work. Like it is a
Hmm.
call, it is a ministry, and it is because you need to do this with Jesus. Otherwise, you will be lost. Like it is not something to take lightly. Um, but I will not midwife without Jesus personally. Like just I don't even want to be in a room
Mhm.
um without him. So yeah, that's so I how long? I don't know. Forever. Forever.
Totally. And I guess like
Whether that, go ahead, Morgan. Sorry.
I was gonna say like I guess one more thought too was like when you were discerning to enter birth work, Like, um, I feel like what was that process like for you is a really broad question, but I guess if there's a way to get at that with like a more succinct question, I'm not sure, but like, um, was there something, and I obviously discerning with the Lord is different for everyone, but I just wasn't sure if there was um anything specific that you guys wanted to share about that.
Are you asking, like, when will I know I'm ready to go ahead and do this?
I think so. Like, I guess, is this the direction, like, is this genuinely the direction that I'm being called? And like, if so, is now the time to take
Mm-hmm.
that leap? Or is this something that is maybe further down the road and is just kind of still stewing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. I would reflect back to you, why do you think this may or may not be the time?
I think it just hasn't felt, nothing's felt solid about it. Um, and so I think that's where it's like, okay, I'm really interested in this. I don't quite know how it would look, but I don't feel like I've had anything that has totally confirmed it. Last year when you guys offered, or when you offered Hearthmother in the spring, I had a very clear, like, this isn't the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think like just trying to know how to uh just be open to that. Like, will there be a clear yes the way there was a clear like not yet? Um,
Mm,
like, because I know sometimes it's just still like, no, keep putting one foot in front of the other and be faithful, even if there's not a clear yes. And then other times there are clear yeses. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess just
yeah,
that's not really something you can answer for me, but just something I guess I feel like to share that I'm kind of wrestling through. So,
Morgan,
yeah.
do you
mhm.
want to
Do I want to uh
take a step towards this calling, towards this work right now?
part of me feels like yes, and part of me is like, would this be bad timing?
So you
And
don't have the strong no. You have a pull in your heart with a cautionary tug in the opposite direction. Um, I think for me, as I'm listening to it, it feels you are somebody who's given the Lord permission to tell you no,
Mhm.
and you listened to him when he told you no last time. And you're not getting a no now. And I just want to say that your desires matter too, and they are part of how God directs you.
Yeah.
So you can listen to that as part of your direction from him, especially when that desire is still there in the presence of a surrendered stance, which
Mm.
it seems like you really do have. He will stop you if he doesn't want you to go. And you know that because he's done it.
Hmm.
Like, and I like what our friend Heather said to us recently. And what did she say? This was Heather Myers I'm talking about. A
Okay.
rudder can't steer a ship unless the ship is moving.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that was for my own entryway. And it was like, I really want to do this. And
Yeah.
I'm going to start moving. And if you need to redirect me, you are so free to do that.
Yeah.
So it starts with like just giving a yes to the Lord, like, I will do this work
Mm-hmm.
if you'll open the doors for me to do it. And then take your tentative little steps out, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah.
Um, while you continue to watch, like,
Mhm.
are the doors opening? Am I pushing the river right now? Like, am I trying to swim upstream and it's so hard and I'm obviously forcing this? Or is there some degree of like flowing in the river of the spirit
Mhm.
as you step in the direction of the desires and dreams that are in your heart?
Yeah. It's a beautiful picture for it. But
Mm,
like, I find metaphors helpful that they stick with me. So thank you for that.
same.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Mm.
definitely something to ponder on and probably take a long walk and process.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
perfect. Long
It does
walks are
sound.
so good for processing stuff like that.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to always say when I was like, I'm pretty sure this is where I'm going, Lord. I'm pretty sure this is what I think you said I'm doing, and this is where I want to go. Send me a donkey if I'm wrong. Like,
Mm.
like the
Oh,
script,
the talking
like
donkey.
the talking donkey who's like, there is an angel of a very not happy angel stopping me. This is the Lauren paraphrase, it's not the scripture there. There's a very not happy angel stopping me, and I'm stopping, and I'm gonna talk to you until you like, listen. And I'm like, God, just send me a talking donkey if you have to get my attention, because my heart is to be in your will. My heart is to not take steps outside of that. And so if I get off on my own path and I am, not going where you want me to go, please, please stop me in whatever way you need to stop me. And giving him that permission, I think also is like he already knows that you're in a surrendered heart, but I think even it helps me go, I told him to stop me and I trust
Mhm.
that he's going to. He knows my heart. He knows that I want to be in obedience, and I've given him full permission to
Mhm.
stop me in whatever means necessary. And so he's going to use the least means necessary to
Yeah.
help you. So yeah, I think sometimes just like this is where I think we're going, God. Give me a
Yeah.
donkey if not.
Yep.
But
It's a walk from him, and it's a responsive walk where you keep adjusting your pace to match his. And if
yeah,
he turns left, you turn left. But you don't get to have the whole trail map right now.
right.
Sorry to say.
Yep.
Feel like
A
we hardly
lamp
ever
unto the
do.
feet. Lamp unto the feet. Next step. That's all he generally gives. That, or he gives you like the vision of like 20 years from now, and you're like, I got this little snippet of where we might be going.
Mhm. Yeah.
But the
Well,
beautiful
I
thing
know that
about
was a
having,
lot of soft answers in the sense that, as you can see, none of this is very like cut and dry or quantifiable stuff here. But was this helpful, Morgan? Do you feel like you have some things to run with and keep
Yeah,
talking to Jesus about?
definitely think so. And just good to kind of have that, like, okay, that's kind of what I thought about the answers to the questions that I submitted, but it's still helpful to like kind of hear them discussed out and stuff. And
Yeah.
um, I think with anything, it still comes with a little bit of like fear and uncertainty. And so just knowing that like that seems to be pretty universal in the process. So
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you
that it
guys
is.
for
Yeah,
taking
I
the
think
time.
so. Hmm.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your vulnerable sharing, Morgan.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. You also
Alrighty.
see once you have a couple responses in the chat that you might want to check out too. Should we bring on Morgan next? Or Madison, I mean?
Madison,
Should bring on Madison
yes.
if you're ready for it. Let me grab her question.
Hi,
Hello.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for doing it.
I kind of remember my question. Did you want to reread it, or do you want me to kind of just summarize what I like remember putting?
I just put it in the chat. Let me read it
Oh,
out loud first,
okay.
and then you can
Thanks.
expand on it in whatever way you want to.
Okay.
Okay. So Madison says, I am hoping to be there. Oh, yeah. I would love input on how to decide if you should serve women in hospitals at all or exclusively
Mm,
at home or birth centers. I'm a newer doula and home birth mom. And after attending a few hospital births, I don't know if I can serve women authentically and support through things that feel so against my personal beliefs around birth. Also, the way that hospital settings feel like places of intense spiritual warfare, and how to navigate that if I do choose to help women who want and need hospital births. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was doing a lot of postpartum work before, and then started doing more birth work this year. Attended just like my third birth of the year recently. And the second one was really hard and kind of just brought up a lot of my own stuff from like previous trauma of my own with around birth that I've done like therapy around and feel like I've had a lot of time to really pray and process. But um anyways, and then I was really praying about the third birth that I was attending this month to be very redemptive. And it really was like God really showed up in a different way that was really refreshing to me being at that birth. And kind of gave me a vision of okay, maybe I can be here. But I still feel kind of on the fence for a few reasons around that. I think there was just a very like palpable intensity in the room at both of the hospital births that I attended this month. And So I think I just struggle because I've had my first birth was a long hospital induction of mine, and then my second were like these incredible home births. My third ended up with a NICU transfer though, so there was a lot of like hospital-based trauma after that, but the like labor and birth itself was so beautiful. So
Mhm.
um yeah, I just find myself back and forth like, man, I want to be at home births. That's where I feel just so at peace. But I'm also I know that not every woman wants that, and some women, both of the women, or all three of the women I've served this year have really wanted like very natural births in hospital, um, and and very like spirit-led births and Jesus-centered births. And so I just feel this tension of like, how can I bring that into this setting? And do I even want to, or do I want to focus mainly on the women who want to do this at home in a way that I like identify with a lot more, rather than feeling like I'm seeing things and I'm aware of things that feel very against what I want and even against what these women want, but don't know how much I can really, intervene, like, or advocate, just figuring out what that even looks like. Because there's just a lot of like pride in hospital settings I've found, like between the doctors, midwives, nurses, like there's just there, I don't know, it was very intense to witness. And there was not any like crazy out of the norm trauma that came with it. It was just like a somewhat typical birth. And there
Yeah.
was still just a lot of trauma and a lot of intensity. And
Mhm.
I think both of these moms would say like their births were incredible, but I think as someone who's witnessed very different births myself and seen hospital births, just you have a different eye for it, and
Yep.
and you're like, I wouldn't call it that, but I'm so glad you feel that way. And, not that I would ever communicate that to the mom like at all. But yeah, I don't know what to do with that tension. I don't know where that sits. But I could feel it in my body physically. I could
Yeah.
feel it spiritually.
Mhm.
It was very surprising to me, I guess. So
Oh, it caught you off
yeah.
guard a little bit, how
Yeah.
intense that felt. Yeah.
Yes, very much so. Um,
Mm.
so I just don't really know what to do with that. And I don't know. I appreciate what one of you said about really praying about and fasting about choosing clients. I think that that's
Yeah.
something that might go into that process a lot more for me. But I'm in
Yes.
that place of like, well, I can't accept insurance yet until I get a certain number of births. And, do I even want to do that? I don't know. But like, um, so I'm kind of doing like a pay what you can model right now
Hmm.
because I don't, have the experience to take insurance, and it's still just somewhat new to me. So
Yeah.
I feel kind of like somewhat desperate for clients, but I'm also like, because I love to do it and I want to help women, but I don't want to do it full time. I'm a mom of three under
Hmm.
five or five and under. So I'm not trying to do this full time right now, but I love birth work and I want to help moms have great births. And I just don't know where I want to do that. So if you guys have input, I would love to hear that.
Hmm. I guess first I just want to validate your that feeling of tension in your body and your spirit about the hospital birth. Once you know what birth can be like
Hmm.
and should be like, it is incredibly disconcerting
Yeah.
to witness it fall so short of that. And then you realize, and that was considered a good hospital birth. It's like,
Yes.
wow, okay. We are
Yeah.
not even speaking the same language here. We are like from
Yeah.
different planets. And
Mhm.
it's like, as a doula who carries uh, a very clear vision of and heart for in undisturbed physiological birth into a
Hmm.
hospital setting, it's like going into it's like you're an English speaker going into France. You're literally not speaking the same language.
Yeah.
So even if you come in with all the intention and this picture, like you can't even, it doesn't translate. It just doesn't
Yeah.
translate. Like at the same time, I do believe that God anoints certain women to go into that hospital setting and hold some lines and some boundaries around women to
Mm-hmm.
keep them safe as they can be in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I I don't know if it's for everyone. I've kind of become persuaded that there's certain people that he really gives grace to for that. And I'm not sure I'm one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that you need to be one of them.
Yeah.
But I also am really glad that there are some women who have that anointing and
Right.
that grace for that because it's really important. And they
Yeah.
can, like, as one of our current students, who's also one of Lauren's friends and real life students, she says, and doulas and hospitals take a lot of arrows. We take a lot of
Mm,
arrows for the women we're serving. We like
yeah.
it's like you stand between them and the onslaught.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't even know what arrows you've taken
Yeah.
because they might
Yeah.
not have that understanding of what it could have been for them or how much better it could have been if they weren't there.
Yeah.
And you do. So you're like having this like trauma, almost like little T trauma, right? But like
Yeah.
where they're just like obliviously like, oh, that was a great hospital birth. And you're like, ugh.
Yes.
And you can't tell them that because you can't project your experience onto theirs. That's not for you to
Totally.
do at
Totally.
all. Um, so like you just have to know if you're going to go into the hospital, that's the kind of work you're going to be doing. You're going to be
Yeah.
taking arrows. You're going to be like folding over in pain while they're obliviously content sometimes. And like, do you feel like God gives you grace for that or not? Or I have found for myself sometimes the grace is conditional. Like Lauren was saying before, if you're really choosy about who you serve rather than
Mm,
like where you're gonna serve,
yeah.
then sometimes the person he asks you to serve includes going to the hospital and he'll give you the grace you need for it then. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The first one that I attended was like my best friend, and her birth was very different. It was very like all of the women in the room, her mother, her sister, were all Christians, all praying over her. And even though it was an induction, like it was incredible like to witness. And it was a very different atmosphere than the two
Mm,
women that followed, where I felt like I know these women. Um, but it's not that same heart connection where even in the first birth, her midwife had told her like hold your breath and bear down, and I was like this far away from her face, and I just quietly was like, Kelsey, just breathe. And she was so grateful for that later on, but I know I can't say that in like normal typical births following. I can't like contradict the doctor really or the midwife or whatnot. And so anyways, it's just I think there was a very different palpable, like you just said, who versus the setting. But like for this person, I would go into that setting and be willing
yeah,
to take those arrows. But for just anyone, just to get, my 10 births under my belt, just to be able to accept insurance, I don't think so. Like I don't know that I'm built for that work for just anyone and everyone. Because if I have more children, which I hope to, that's not where I want to birth either. I don't feel safe there as a birthing mom. I don't, I don't, it's a hard place to be for me
mm,
personally. So, but yeah, I appreciate that kind of the who versus the just, yes, sure, I'll do hospital births, but maybe it's, just for the women that I feel really called for, that God has made really clear that yes, this is what this woman needs, and she needs you there with her, and I will
100%.
protect you and be there with you through this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Um,
also, um, I think all of that, and I feel like that really just encapsulated and is like a really good, like, yes, that's the answer, you know?
Yeah.
And then just a sidebar thought that's coming up for me, is just to encourage you to work through the trauma that was placed upon you in your
mm,
own
Hmm.
experiences. Um, Especially when you have this like really huge juxtaposition of I have had traumatic experiences in the hospital and I've had
Hmm.
beautiful, smooth experiences at home.
Hmm.
Like already going over to that environment is going to bring up things in your own body. And
Yeah.
so it is really important in this work that we deal with that in us.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that you haven't. I'm just saying again, just
Sure.
sidebar thought coming up for me.
Yeah.
Is to like make sure that you're dealing with that baggage and being able to leave that at the
Hmm.
door, not going into this place while yes, you will likely take on arrows when you are going in there. We also don't have to have an us versus them mentality where we
Yeah.
are immediately expecting for them to be prideful and mean and uncaring of these women. Like,
mm,
yes,
Yeah.
sometimes we experience that. Unfortunately, more times than not. But I also find that when I go in there with a we're on the same team
mm,
mentality,
Yeah.
that I'm received a whole lot better than when I
Yeah.
went in there with my own trauma and assuming that they were going
That's
to be
good.
mean to my client, you know?
Yeah.
And so I had to do that work within myself. And so I just want to
Yeah.
pass that on to you to be like, I hate going into hospitals. I do not want to go there. I don't serve there. But in this work, not serving hospital clients, I still have to go in if we transfer. And I
Hmm.
Yeah.
have to be able to make that seamless transition
Yeah.
to serve my client well. I have to be like not the friction because I'm
Yeah.
expecting it, you know. If we're already
Absolutely.
expecting it, we're going to see it. Because there's gonna be things that you're gonna be annoyed by, period.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that,
That's a good word, Lauren. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's really
Yeah.
helpful. I feel like that's given me a lot of clarity and direction because, like you just said, that even if I do focus on just home births, people do transfer women have to go to the hospital for different reasons. And I don't want to be an anxious presence in that setting either. I
right.
want to walk with her,
Exactly.
Yeah.
be a
You don't want
very
to be
peaceful
triggered to
presence.
death every time you have to go in that situation because you will still have to go
Totally.
sometimes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. That's really
Of
helpful.
Thank
course. One
you.
more thing,
Yeah.
Madison. I just want to say
Yeah.
about the insurance. I just feel like to
Yeah.
nudge you to like drop the pressure to qualify for it.
Yeah.
Like, don't let that be a guiding force in your life. If you happen to get
For
there and you
sure.
decide you want to get it, fine. But like,
Yeah.
you can do your entire doula career without ever accepting insurance. And until recently, you couldn't have had insurance anyway.
Mm,
Yeah.
Your pay what you can model, because I know a lot of the reason people want to qualify for insurance, receiving insurance, is because you have that heart to serve people who don't have
yeah.
as much money
Yeah.
to spend on this. And I honor that. And I think that's wonderful. And I just also think there's some ways to do that that don't include the bureaucratic nonsense. And
Right.
you're
Mm,
already doing
yeah.
that, and you can keep doing that way, or you can
Yeah.
think of more
Yeah.
creative ways. But
Yeah.
if the
Yes.
need to qualify for insurance is going to end up making you feel this weird pressure to like squeeze
Mm,
into these like situations that just really feel wrong in your whole body and spirit, then just
yeah.
release that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Thank you
think I
for hitting
will.
that, Brooke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
One other thing I will say is a total side note, but um, I worked for a naturopathic doctor and chiropractor for a long time, and he did not take insurance, even though he could have. And one reason is because he's like, I don't want them telling me how I can serve my people. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
they don't know. They
Yes.
know nothing. And they're trying to
Yeah.
Yes.
micromanage what he's allowed to give people. And so he just did strictly out of pocket and made arrangements with
Mm,
people when they needed it. And that's always challenged me because also you get a different type of person.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the person who's like, I'm only going to do this, I'm doing this because my insurance will cover it, is generally speaking coming from a really different perspective in terms of their personal sense of ownership and responsibility than the person
Yes.
who knows they have to pay out of pocket.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yes.
So I would 110 times rather make a special payment plan or serve for free somebody who I knew was suffering financially but was like
Mm,
willing and like striving to find a way to pay um,
yeah.
than somebody who's just like, I have insurance, so maybe I'll try this doula thing.
Mm, that's a great point.
Yes.
That's a really great
100%.
point.
I
Yeah.
wasn't sure how I was going to say that kindly, so great job, Brooke.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very true because that is very much I think my intention probably a lot is like we live in Oregon, so it's like how do I accept Oregon health plans so that women who can't afford maybe to hire a doula out of pocket can have access right away. But I with both of my two home births didn't the midwives didn't accept my insurance, and so I found a way to pay for
Found a way.
them completely out of pocket. There was a financial assistance portion, there was a payment plan, like we made it work, but we had to work really hard at that, and it was
Hmm.
hard, but we made it work. And it was a very different investment for me rather than like you just said, well, it works out fine, like my insurance covered it, so whatever. I was much more invested in the relationship and even the appointments with my midwife and all those things. So I
Mhm.
appreciate that perspective a lot. I think that helps me
100%.
a lot to let go of that concept of I need to get to be able to take insurance as soon as possible to get paid better from this, that I would
You
rather
won't get
take.
paid better
You
from
won't get paid better.
insurance.
No.
Sure.
100% will
Yes.
not get paid better. You
Yeah.
might not even get paid. Like,
Okay.
like,
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
notoriously like way underpaid. So
Mm,
it's kind of
Way
it's an
underpaid, way
illusion of,
late paid. Like
uh,
it's not
it's not worth it.
it's really not great for the ones on the supposedly receiving end either.
Mm, yeah. That's good to know. I really appreciate that. That's helpful.
yeah.
Thank you guys.
Of
Yeah,
course. Lovely talking with
absolutely.
you. Thank you for all your
Yes.
thoughtful questions and musings.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we only have just a few more minutes left. We did have so many more good questions
Hmm.
submitted. I think we're gonna have to plan another one of these
We may
because
have
this
to.
is so much fun
It
and
is
there's some
fun.
really good questions in here.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question. There was some questions kind of going on in the chat that about kind of from the mom standpoint that we started with, the like doing birth work when you've got littles.
Hmm.
There's some conversations happening just about, when do you take a baby, like, what do you do with a nursing baby and taking off work until they're not nursing. A lot of women will do that, as well
Oh
as
yeah.
just taking baby with. And that's what I have done many times. It definitely depends on whether you're a student or not, and if that's, like if you're in a a doula, or if you're an assistant role, or if you're the midwife, or like, again, it's role specific. But getting just the clients that actually, like, if someone was serving me and they had a 2-month-old baby and I really wanted them to serve me, there's no way I would ask them to leave their baby at home. Like, please bring your baby. Learn to wear your baby on your back. Like, I don't want you separated from your child to serve me. Um, but yeah, so like there are women out there that would prefer you to bring your baby.
Mm.
Know your baby. Know if they are super colicky and really struggling and they're gonna need all of your attention. Know yourself. Maybe you can't do that with that and being able to give full attention to the role that you've been asked to serve if you have your baby on your back. But I mean, those little babies are often, they can just be, wrapped up and happy and content while you are, wiping a brow and squeezing some hips and taking pictures and making her a porridge for postpartum. Like these things, this is family work. This is mother baby work, and your baby can be in that environment. Obviously, if you're serving the families that are okay with that, but just wanted to add that little extra nugget on the end.
It's family work. I love that. And honestly, I feel like it's such a neat way to model to the women you're serving the importance of the mama baby dyad and like that it's okay to prioritize their nearness to their babies too.
Yes.
Um, and I've also had moms say to me before that seeing my baby on my back or laying across the room while they're in labor was sort of like motivating for them
Yeah.
because they're like, that's what I'm working for.
Right there.
I'm
Yep.
pushing this baby. I'm doing this hard work right now because I'm gonna have that soon.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I've also had a teenage child, like one of my own children, come and
Yeah.
hang out in the guest room with a baby, so that they were kind of watching, and then they could just kind of tap on the door and be like, they need a nurse, mom. And then I know we've had where husband just zipped over and nursed and then took
Mhm.
them home when they're a little bit earlier older, and toddling around, and it's just like not quite as conducive.
Or even
um
crawling around. I find I usually
right.
start switching to that method when they're crawling.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
my babies have pretty much just lived on me, all of them. So they will just, like, I start wrapping them as almost immediately. As soon as I'm no longer in the postpartum bed, they're wrapped to me. So they're all really good at just, well, this is where I belong.
Hanging out.
And so they just
Yeah.
hang out on my back and they're fine.
And I've had babies at a couple of my births too, because the birth
Yep.
attendants that I chose brought their babies.
Yep.
Yep. We get to create this birth culture together, and I think that's important to remember. Like, I think it's true that if you went to a mainstream doula training program, they would probably be like, it's
It would,
utterly
you can't.
unprofessional to bring your baby to a birth. Absolutely don't do that.
Yep.
But that's not the culture we're trying to build here, right? Like,
Yep.
so we're gonna do it differently.
Yep. We're gonna
Yeah.
do it differently. Yeah.
And yet that said, I do think it's still important to get consent from
Oh,
like
for
talk
sure.
about it
You
with
would
each mom. Like say somebody wants to hire you to attend her birth and she's due when you'd be 4 months postpartum
you
and you'd
have
be
that
like, you
conversation.
couldn't attend that birth unless you brought your baby. That would be something you'd say in her, just like in her meet and greet with you or her interview with you, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I do this, I would need to bring my baby. Does that sit okay with you? Would that be all right? Or, and then you can talk to her about what that would look like and how you would handle it and give her a chance to say yes or no. And
Yep.
that may help you know whether or not you can serve her at that point in your postpartum world.
Yep.
Hmm.
So true. So true. All right.
All right. Thanks for being here, sisters.
Yeah. This was lovely. Thank you all.
Mhm. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you guys so much. This was amazing.
Good. You're so
I'm so
welcome.
grateful. I'm so glad I tuned in. It was such good timing.
Yay. Thanks, Erin.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Erin.
yeah. Thanks for your work, ladies. You have a
Mhm.
blessed day.
You
You
too.
too.
Thanks. Bye.